Hey, Chad.
Hey guys, I'm here, but
Excellent.
I'll be driving, so I'm just gonna mostly listen in. Hi.
Very good. On the line, Chad, we've got, see if I can get the names right, Dan, Josh, AJ, and Stephanie.
Great.
Zoe had confirmed the internet willing, so maybe she's having internet, and I don't yet see Sean. Hopefully he'll be able to join.
All right,
Okay,
sounds good.
I'd like to go ahead.
I couldn't open that. I tried before I got in the car. I tried to open the Google Doc. It wasn't shared with the particular account I was logged into, so I wasn't able to open it.
Okay.
That's always the trouble with having so many YouTube accounts or Google accounts.
So we're gonna send all documents to all three accounts.
Yeah.
Maybe we can settle on one, but
Yes.
well, I'm sure we can fix that afterward.
Yep.
Just let me know what you want, and happy to do whatever you need. Okay, so you're driving, and so looking at the agenda, I wanted to do two things, and happy to talk about the press release that Stephanie had drafted. And so the first is a discussion of bylaws and a schedule on the overall submission of articles of incorporation and the submission of the 501c3. And then second, and I'll watch the time since I don't want to nod off here. It being almost my bedtime now. Just kidding. I will. I'm very excited about the action and ideas. We've got a folder working started on this, and we have ideas and status on marketing, on public relations. We also have some ideas on what we need. Nothing started yet under finance, the FAA relationship, as well as membership management. So good starts on getting this going. That sounds like Zoe.
Unfortunately. Hey, what's up?
Hey, Dave Messina here, and I'm hoping that you're able to see who else is on.
Yep. Hey, everybody.
Excellent.
Hey, Zoe.
Okay. So I detailed out some of the things that we've got going on in the bylaws. Thank you to Josh, and I've now discovered that when I convert a Word document from PC to Mac, some of the comment bubbles disappear. So thanks to Josh, I saw those today and got a hold of the attorney that's working with us, Liz Andrews. And so we have a couple of requests from her to discuss some of the topics that I've listed here. Things like the number of the board of directors should be an odd number. We've changed that to a minimum of 5. I think that's a sensible request, and that was Article 8, Section 2. Also in Article 8, Section 3, this is quick. This won't. I only have a couple of these, so if your eyes are already rolling back in your head, fear not. This will be quick. You won't feel a thing. The election and term of office, she asked us of members. I thought we discussed a on that. I have a call set with Liz tomorrow morning at 9:30 ET. Article, I've got it at 7, Section 8. I'm positive that's Section 8 or Article 8, Section 8. She talks about vacancies, let's discuss, and then she says officers equal directors. And so we'll get the, I'm pretty sure that what we're going to get clarity on is that an officer of the corporation is a director of the company, and so we then should be specific when we characterize a board of director. And so we'll make that clear to Liz, but I'm quite certain that she is correct that officers equal directors of the corporation, and that has to do with the liability on the individual, among other things. Article 9, Section 3, she asks us to discuss that. We will. Article 9, Section 4, this talks about compensation, and this was the one that I thought we might want to talk about. I know there had been a sense and desire to not have compensation for board members, and that's the norm. I'm good with heading in that direction. What I think is sensible is to try to provide reimbursement for reasonable expenses, things like travel or lawyer fees or things like that, that either the board or the corporation are going to have to spend on. So the notion is no paid positions across the board of directors. Any questions or comments on that point?
No, okay. I know that we had discussed particular officers being paid, or are those team leads now, or are we kind of still up in the air on that?
So what I'm talking about is the board of directors, and so we should probably characterize the groups of people that will have working on the FPVFC. One, the board of directors, and it's prudent to have them not compensated from a perspective of it eliminates conflict of interest. And then under the bylaws, we can change how officers or team leads or committee leads, folks of that nature, are compensated.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Other questions on that or comments? Okay. And please, my style is to try to keep things moving, but I'm really comfortable to be interrupted. So if I'm mid-sentence and I have not taken a breath, just jump in and yell at me, and please, I'm very comfortable with folks interrupting and asking, so please don't be shy. Okay. I've got a number of things listed, and I pulled this from a document that we're starting on status of actions and ideas. And so the high-level headings are marketing, public relations, finance, FAA relationship, and member management. I've tried to influence those categories thinking about organizational responsibilities. So, we would have, a marketing group, and what's the scope that we would want the marketing organization to be responsible for? Certainly things like merchandising, code of conduct, website, the various social media platforms, article development, written articles, and community outreach. Those would pretty naturally go under marketing, as well as member recruiting. And then PR can be separate from marketing. Frequently it's reports to marketing, but we'll see how it goes. So PR in this vein, we're thinking of things like lists of pilots. And then finance, we want separate so that there is some budget management, there is a separation of duties so that we have good structure and a rigor in how we are gathering funds and spending them so that we can maintain our 501c3 status, as well as run a tight ship, because we all, I'm certain we won't have a lot of money, and we want to make it go as far as we can. So, and that's a good reason to have someone watching under on a finance and controls basis. Then the FAA relationship, I think that's going to require a special focus, and not sure what that means today, but I'm sure we'll figure that out as we move along. And then I looked at we looked at member management as including things like education and like the Wiki that I know Zoe has started to work on. So Stephanie, if I may, I'd like to turn this over to you to provide whatever status you can or may provide.
Alrighty. Basically what I'm doing right now is I'm making sure that I know what the allowed limits are for us, for our income stream. I don't want us to lose our 501 is, straight out of the gate. So I'm checking that, and I'm making sure that everything with the store, jibes with that. As far as the Twitter and the Instagram, Josh and I set those up back in September, but they've just kind of been sitting there. So we need to, I guess, get a team on that. That's the other thing that I've got going on is I'm setting up, or at least trying to figure out the teams that we need right now that could go ahead and be working in the background. PR is one of them. So, but since the Twitter and Instagram fall under merchandising, I'll keep an eye on that, and I know Josh has my back.
And as you're thinking about merchandising, I was contemplating, maybe we could incorporate as an LLC, and then when hopefully we get the approval on the 501c3, then we cut over to a nonprofit. Well, the attorney said no, and so that was it was so unequivocal that I had a hunch that it's not done. So as a so I was thinking, well, okay, how is it that we can that we could offer products? And so I need to talk to Chad about this, but maybe there's a way we could offer the various apparel, merchandise, swag through an existing company, and then that becomes hold aside the profit, that becomes a charitable contribution when the FPVFC is formed as a 501c3.
I was thinking the same thing. So it'd be like Friends of the FPVFC, and everything would just be funneled back in. Like,
you got it. I'm thinking the same
that I
thing.
could come up with.
Yeah, so Dave, if, just to run through that concept, so say on the Rotor Riot store, we sell shirts, and then based on the sales, we could say we're making a donation of this amount.
Exactly. And
okay.
maybe, and writing up a little full disclosure, this is intended for a 501c that's not yet formed, et cetera, if that fails, or something that's that provides that, hey, look, we're being upfront about this, and but we're confident this will be approved. But yes, that you're exactly on the structure I was thinking of, Chad.
Okay, and then what's the latest on the timeline that they expect?
I don't have a. I will hopefully have an answer for you on that tomorrow morning. I think the bylaws and the articles of incorporation and everything else are in excellent shape, and I think they can be submitted tomorrow. And any minor tweaks that we might have on the bylaws can be separate, because we would be approving the bylaws at the first organizational meeting and not including them in the articles of incorporation. So it's the 4 or 5 documents that are up in the folder that we've been looking at and reading for several weeks. That's what we need Liz to submit to the IRS. Liz Andrews of our the attorney firm. Okay, Stephanie, back to you.
Okay. The other big thing that I have going on is the member planet. I don't know if you guys remember what's going on with that. That's it's our membership software, and I'm not sure if it's going to work for us, but I really think that it is. So we're going to go ahead and build it, and we have the beta build team assembled. I have 10 people on there. Josh, do you know how many are on the portal beta?
I think you're right. I think there's about 8 to 10 people on there.
Yeah, there's like 10.
Dan just got in there.
So what is this? What's it? I apologize. I don't know what the member planet is. Is it?
The first option that I found was going to end up being very expensive. So obviously we can't do that. And I like to have a budget. So I found one that's free. I'm not sure if it's going to meet our needs completely. But as it stands right now, it looks really tasty. So we're going to go ahead and build it where it's not public. Nobody can get into it but us. That's going to be where our members go to sign up.
All right, so it's sign on, it's member management,
right.
It's
Exactly.
what's the word I'm looking for? Authentication or where entitlement occurs. You know, yes, this is really you, and so okay, good.
It'll hold our databases too, which is a huge help because I don't have a way to do that right now.
Okay, what databases are you thinking about?
Of the members, of volunteers, of corporate sponsors, of pilots that might want to help out.
Okay.
Anything, all of our databases need to be in one place. And
so will this include member personal information, name, address, contact information, email?
Yes.
Okay. Is this housed in the United States?
Yes.
Excellent.
I've already checked.
Good. Yeah. Data security, passing over borders, and that changes lots of laws these days. And do we know what their security and their backup standards are?
I can find that for you.
Okie dokie. On the backup, I'd like to know RTO and RPO, return point objective, and whatever the T stands for, but RTO, RPO. Those are the two time things that we're looking, and it should be within a day. That's if it's a week, then we have a problem on either of those numbers. Okay.
I'll have that for you in the morning.
And so you said there are 8 or 10 folks. That is, we've had 8 or 10 people who have signed on to this and joined, or there are 8 to 10 people on the committee working to assemble this?
Correct. There are 10 people on the build team to help build it. Most of them are from my merch design team.
Okay.
And since, we've already got our hands in, creating the look, everybody was like, yeah, sure, we'll help out. So I just kind of put them over there as well. My goal is to have this ready for beta test around January 2nd.
Okay.
I had it mid-December, and then I was like, wait a minute, no, that's ridiculous because no, it's December. So I pushed it back to January 2nd, and I think that gives us plenty of time to have a tangible, working option for everybody to see what they think about it.
I agree. If
I'll put you in there too.
If Liz tells me that the IRS is likely to respond in 2 months, I'll fall out of my chair. So I agree. I think that's reasonable.
Right, and my scheduling, like my mental scheduling, and now it's becoming tangible scheduling. I'm looking around February-ish for everything to be ready, just so that we're ready to go when we're ready to go. But I think it's going to be at least that long since it's the end of the year and everything. We could be surprised, but yeah, I don't think we will be. I think it's going to be a minute.
Okay. Who feels a Gantt chart coming on?
I love Gantt charts.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, this is good. I mean, we're going to have a number of separate projects, and I can see that we're, even if it's something simple, I can gin up a spreadsheet out of the actions and ideas of Word document into an Excel file. Okay.
We can use Google Groups too. That's an option.
Okay. I haven't used that. I assume Google Groups is a project management tool.
Yes.
Okay.
I can add you to the ones that I've already created. It just it just helps things stay together where they need to stay. Discord is great for what it is, but
Yeah,
it's kind of a train wreck as
Yeah,
far
it's
as
making me nuts, but I don't mean to whine.
thank you for saying that.
It's just part of I need to be humbled every now and then, and it's doing a great job.
It's a growing pain for sure.
Yeah.
I'm interested in Google Groups. I didn't know it existed, so I'm very interested in seeing more about it.
Have you checked out all the stuff that's in the G Suite that we have access to now?
There's a
No,
lot
actually,
there.
I haven't, but I'd like to check it out.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff in there. Sorry to jump in, Steph, but
jump in.
There's just some good stuff in there, especially when we become a nonprofit. There's a $10,000 a month Google Ads bump that we can be keyword focused on. So somebody goes into Google and types in FPV, boom, there's FPV Freedom Coalition on an ad. There's all kinds of stuff in there that we can really use from a public relations standpoint, recruiting, all that kind of stuff too. So there's definitely some cool tools in there.
Cool. Love it.
Pretty rad. Josh and I have been buggering through it the last few days. Yeah, we found some pretty neat things. So
you're breaking up. You're breaking up a little, Stephanie. Are you not aiming the phone at the? Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, no, I wasn't pointing at my tree. I'm in the house. Can you believe it? No, it's too cold outside tonight. So is that better?
That's excellent. Thank you.
Cool.
So that's good. I'm going to ask that sometime after this call, not tonight, that you update the agenda with just a couple of bullet points underneath the status, so that we have good minutes for this. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I think that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. So have you gotten on the design team and the merchandise? Have you met with the team or assembled the team on that topic, or have you?
I have.
Okay.
My team is called the Art Avengers, like the Avengers, but different.
The R Avengers?
Art Avengers.
Oh, Art Avengers. I love it.
Yeah, and they're all pretty rad. Everybody's working on individual designs right now, just because I'd like to have each person submit 3 so that they can be voted on and nobody gets their feelings hurt. I want to have plenty to choose from in the first one.
So are you looking for non-literal, so no words, or this is just art, or what is it?
It's kind of a mixed bag. Some pilots are actually doing like their personal submissions. So it's like so and so is for whatever. There's a lot of art though, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
But all of this stuff is for the fundraising side.
Right.
As far as the FPVFC merch, it's going to be all of our branded logos.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of boring and easy. But this is the stuff that I'm going to have ready for the first fundraising campaign.
Very cool. Very cool. That's exciting. I'm excited.
I'm so excited.
Okay. That it, Stephanie?
Yeah, I think that's it for me. Josh, do you have anything?
No, just that, I know we've got a couple. I talked to you about that one gentleman that we're kind of waiting on to join the art campaign. He's a tattoo artist, so I'm hoping we can pull him over. His art's pretty cool. So
very cool.
I'm in talks with him. He's kind of on the fence right now, but I'm gonna try and work through that with him and see what we can do with that. But from a fundraising, art and design kind of standpoint, I gave Stephanie one of my ideas. I just I don't have I consider myself an artist. At the same time, I don't have the means to make it reality. I can't get it out of my head. So I gave her some of my ideas on that, but hopefully we can run with that and kind of create it. We were talking about kind of creating a theme with it. So
yeah, I'm keen. I'm very keen on what the messaging and themes that we want to try to convey, and that can be a little, that can be a half a sentence or or a full sentence, but we want to align the sentiment of what we're trying to have some of these designs communicate.
Right.
And
you
you
it's
have
the freedom of.
you have a you have a theme in mind.
Well, Josh's idea was stick figures, but each stick figure has something different, like a different hairdo or goggles or quads. Like something is going to set it apart. His personal one has a beard, which is pretty cool.
So you're trying to. So the idea is that this is inclusive, and there's lots of diversity in our pilots, but it's an inclusive community.
We're all the same but different.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I was really excited about that.
Yeah, we could use that in our country a lot. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
So Josh, I think you got some of your art out of your head, and that doesn't have to all be just line drawing. That's a great thought.
Yeah, it was definitely something cool. It was, I mean, basically the gist of it is each one slightly different, just like each one of our pilots. And and like if you think about a t-shirt, you've got a couple stick figures with their transmitters, their goggles on. You've got planes and quads in the air, and little lines connecting the quads and the planes to the actual pilots. And you have groups of them or individual ones, and you can carry that same theme over to a hat, to a goggle strap, to a lanyard, whatever makes sense. And not only that, but we can get pilots from our community to submit their own personal stick figure line drawings that are easy to kind of get into the same style and get onto a shirt, and it could be a limited edition shirt for this month, and then a new one for the next month, or something like that, something that we can kind of carry on throughout a theme. So
I like it. Okay, so Stephanie, I think you had wrapped up.
Yeah, I think I covered everything.
Okay.
I'll get the groups finished and get everybody invited, so you guys can check them out.
And who can get me into our Google groups?
I'm working on that. Just message me on Discord, but email you what we use, and I'll go ahead and put you in there.
Okay, will do. Zoe, have you had? We know you've been busy. We're wondering if you've had any opportunity to devote some time to the wiki.
So far the wiki's up. So the actual wiki itself, the drone.wiki, is working. People can register and they can actually start working on the wiki. It's pretty much a wiki, so there's no. I guess the biggest thing from this point would be to just add information to make it more accessible for people to start working on it. Because right now there's.
I didn't.
Dang AI.
Is that you, Zoe?
So basically, just to reiterate, to start working on making it more user-friendly for people to actually work on the wiki. But again, people can start working on it now.
So Zoe, Stephanie is going to be on a webinar, and she's going to talk about, hey, this is what we've got going. We've got a submission. We're about to launch a website. And she wanted to mention the wiki, but I wasn't sure if we should include that in a discussion yet. I wanted to ask you if you feel it's open for folks to start contributing. And sounds like it is.
Internally, yeah, definitely internally with people that are in the know. I wouldn't put it advertise it quite yet.
Okay.
Just because we need to start getting people on the website to start contributing to it.
Okay.
Biggest thing is just finding a proper structure for it, as in how should we structure the information of all FPV knowledge? which is a really big task.
Have we created an outline or anything like that that can help people kind of start tackling some of those items?
I've been mentally figuring it out. I haven't really written down the outline yet. It's something I can definitely work on this week and get it prepped on the website and hopefully start seeding those sections.
Even if you know, do something simple like let's break down components and start people on that, and then as you get more time, or any of us get more time, we can start creating, you know, sub outlines that can kind of, you know, okay, the components one's coming along, let's talk about, you know, methods of flight or history of FPV, or you know,
well, right, like that's the biggest thing is like you just pick what kind of page you want to create. It can be basically anything at this point, and link that from the main page. And then as we start adding more of those pages, we can start reorganizing them into their proper structure. So like you'd have components, which could be on the front. Oh, geez, computer.
I can't connect at the moment.
Okay. AI is just not smart enough yet. So
you just need more horsepower. It's
yeah, a lot more, and several years of data learning. So yeah, we just really need to, I guess, like I said, start adding it, because like as we go, the outline of FPV, like the actual structure of it, will get more and more complex. And the great thing with a wiki is that when you create a page, it's basically an object, which you can then recall in other pages, and it builds within itself. So it's really flexible within that. Oh, geez, not
What's
again.
some of the first content that you'd really like to see us work on and get on there for you?
What is FPV? Even if it's a really basic article, like just essentially links, maybe even just a basic link store of like different sites, where to get hardware. Essentially just like the basic stuff. Like it literally can be anything. It's really what people are most interested in. Because that's what people are going to write the most about, and it's going to be what they know the most about. And that's what's going to make the best content for the wiki.
So I being I am but an egg with wikis. Can you share? Can you type in what is the what's the URL, or how do we? It's I know it's drone wiki, but I don't know how to get to it beyond that.
Typed in the general, it's the drone.wiki.
Okay.
And again, I'm down to transfer this over to anybody that, well, I guess when the coalition gets solidified, transfer the domain name over to the coalition.
Okay, thank you.
Just wanted to solidify that.
Understood.
It's quite honestly the most expensive domain name I've ever bought. Like the .wiki URL is just expensive.
Okay.
But yeah, the drone.wiki. So basically it should pop up on the main page, and you should see essentially a login button at the very top right.
All right.
That login button, if you don't have an account, you can create an account, and it says join the drone wiki at the bottom. And then basically create your account, and it allows you to do everything. My account is pretty much the same level as most other people's accounts, if not everyone else's. Like everyone has, I believe, the same contribution powers as everyone else. There's no like master users yet or moderators set up.
Okay.
But there you go.
Good.
And quite honestly, like I've only used wiki software once or twice before, and I've barely created the structures on them. And as it is, I basically what I was stuck at when I stopped working on this was the logo. The last few logos I made for it, I did not like, so I just haven't added the logo yet. But once we have the logo, we can add that to the site. And
I think we do have a logo, but that's good that you didn't burn energy on that.
Yeah. Right on.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we can add logo whenever. Just send it to me and I'll work it in.
Okay. Cool. I was able to bring it up. I'm looking at the drone.wiki. That's exciting. That's
so
cool.
Dave, were you thinking the FPV Freedom Coalition logo, or were you thinking you had a different logo for the
FPVFC logo, the one that the group has created for this corporation? Are you concerned about that because the wiki would be more general, or personally, I'd like to
Zoe
see
was
the
thinking
wiki.
something different.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Glad you mentioned it.
If we want to do like the FPV Coalition wiki, that's fine.
Okay. So this is a topic that that Chad and I have different views on, and so I'm old school, which says you use one brand and everything points back to that single brand. That's old school. A newer thought is create sub brands that are different. And
Luxottica, have you heard of Luxottica, like the biggest like sunglasses and glasses manufacturer in the world?
Yes, I have heard of them.
Yeah, sub brands are where it's at. That's. I mean, I totally could see having a sub brand that has FPV Coalition branding that makes it look familiar and builds upon it.
Mm-hmm.
That's personally what I would like to see. So that's just my
Okay.
two.
Okay, so we'll hold off and not immediately put the FPVFC logo on the wiki. That's I think we can let this one gestate a little bit and think about what makes sense. As you can tell, I'm trying to learn, and yes, I've launched sub brands successfully, but they usually have a strong linkage.
I would just say just add Drone Wiki to the bottom of the FPVC logo. That way, it just says Drone Wiki. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything too fancy. It just not just keep it simple, stupid. I totally see building that brand, and yeah.
Okay, good.
I could probably give that a shot.
Is that Dan? I didn't get I'm not getting the voices yet. Was that Dan?
Yes, this is Dan. I was just saying that I could give it a shot to take the logo and add some words to it and put it up on the wiki.
Okay, cool. Let's try that. And I was gonna, Zoe, anything else that you wanted to add there?
No, that's it. Really.
And thank you for joining this call. We know it's about 6:30 for you. So.
Oh yeah, it's so nice. It's a great time of day, actually.
Good. Dan, I wanted to circle back to you and AJ, and anything you wanted to add? Any comments on what we've been talking about? Anything? I think Dan, you're driving the website. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. I've been doing most of the editing. Josh has helped out a little bit here and there as well. Changes lately.
What's your assessment on readiness of the website?
Well, I'm ready whenever everybody else agrees. If
Okay.
we're ready or not.
I did go.
Chad pointed the FPVFC.com domain to this website. So when we did that, we weren't quite confident that we were totally ready. So we kind of just narrowed it down to just the main their sublinks. And I guess that's pretty much where it's at now. I added a contact us page, get some email addresses that we created. And so I could make a contact us page that had links to those email addresses. I made accounts for Josh and Stephanie and Zoe. And we've got some aliases like webmaster@fpvfc.com goes to me. Josh, and volunteer goes to Stymie. Yeah, that's about all we've got on there for now.
Okay.
So I did add a couple things to the website. I did add a copyright, all rights reserved down at the footer of the whole website, as well as contact the webmaster for any concerns with the website. And I did go into the volunteer page and change that up. I added the volunteer application form to that. And trying to think what else I did. I think that's about it. But I mean, those were some of the concerns I think we had from the kind of the soft release we had last week.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm completely comfortable. I'm with Dan. I'm completely comfortable launching it if we want to do that. So I mean,
Okay.
that's kind of where I'm at.
Chad, my experience is that would do a walkthrough and then push the button, but that may be too bureaucratic. Do you have experience on what sort of review you'd like to see before we push the button on a website? Let's see. We lost.
I think we
Chad.
lost Chad.
I see.
Yeah, Chad dropped out a
yeah.
while ago.
I see that. Yeah, just talking to talking into space.
I guess we're
Hey.
not cool enough.
Ignoring my screen.
No,
Okay.
no, Chad has
Being a
better things to
responsible
do.
driver.
That's it. Yeah, so he is being responsible. Okay,
Or
so
hopefully he's okay.
yes,
There we
yes. So let me talk to Chad, and my thought. We've both looked at it. My reaction is it's sensible to do a final walkthrough before we push the button, and I won't. I promise I won't make that bureaucratic. So I got it. Anything else, Dan?
Not that I can think of, unless anybody else had questions about the website. I also
Question?
added on the list here that YouTube. There's probably nothing really to talk about there.
Okay.
To the status, since that's another social media outlet we're using. The recordings of these meetings for now.
Okay. Always makes me jumpy to be recorded, but that's okay. If you'd appreciate, I come from a company that is extremely paranoid. So,
yeah, this is the opposite of that secret sort of
right.
corporate environment.
yeah, exactly. So when you say recording, my blood pressure skyrockets. Okay. Anything else?
Nope, not unless anybody else has questions.
Okay. AJ, you've been quiet. Any observations?
That I have. Just been watching the FAA and some of the things happen with the drone industry as far as the news. Watched the UTM test in Manchester, England last week, and just seeing how that's going to affect us. But and it's not. It's just a technology demonstrator that was quite successful.
That's good.
But it's interesting to follow this while we're looking at all these pending deadlines coming up to see how the FAA is going to incorporate those changes and new technologies. But it's looking very positive.
And I don't know what the UTM is. Can you help me out on that?
Universal Traffic Management, a coordination of unmanned and manned aircraft.
Ah, okay. So it sounds like a transponder would be required for that.
That's just part of it. Yeah, you've got communications protocols, collision avoidance, things like that.
Yeah. I had the pleasure of being associated with the FAA air traffic controller system briefly. So
Oh, great.
I do have a vague appreciation of the complexity of the problem.
Well, it's pretty impressive with the results they had. They had 3 drones that flew. One was just a total bandit, but it was part of the test program. They had a Cessna 206 that just came blasting in. They coordinated with them with air traffic control, and then it did a missed approach and went right through a test area that a drone was already flying. So the drone, without communication, had to recognize the threat and land, and it did. And then they had I don't know if the drone did it or the crew did it. I'm waiting to find that out. But the main thing is they knew there was a conflict and avoided it.
That's cool. Very cool. Yeah. That sounds yeah. It's nice to hear a little good news now and then. It's been we've had living just north or a couple hours north of Washington D.C. It just seems like terrible news all the time. So that's nice.
Yeah, they're pretty much shut down around there. Yeah, I also, on the other front, I did a 107 photo shoot a couple of weeks ago and got to use the new Lang system. And within 90 seconds, I got approval to fly in Class B airspace at Detroit Metro.
Very cool.
I was amazed.
Yeah, that's good. Very positive. All right. So the anything else, AJ?
No, sir. That's all I have.
Okay, that's awesome. And the one of the things when I edited the press release, I changed the tone from where we were saying that the FAA has a lot of work to do as of the 2018 FAA reauthorization to structure it along the lines that Congress passed the authorization. They created a bunch of mandates for the FAA, and it's our objective to collaborate with the FAA and work wherever we can to make their life a little easier. And if we can help and get a pen in hand with the FAA, that helps us a lot create our own voice and create what we need for FPV. So that was the tone I was trying to go for in that document. That's why I edited with a bit of a heavy hand, and I hope that was okay, Stephanie and Josh, who authored that.
All good.
Okay.
Group project to get some of this stuff done, and that's all right.
All right.
Yeah, we don't mind edits at all.
Okay.
In fact,
good.
we welcome them.
Okay, good. And push back if you think I'm going astray on anything I edit. So thank you for the open minds. Anything else this evening?
I'm good.
All right. I will provide an update once I talk to Liz Andrews or one of the attorneys we're working with tomorrow morning, and we'll see how hard we can push on the schedule to the 501c3 if I ever get that sequence correct in my mind, that I don't have to slow down and pause.
Yeah, we all know what you mean if you say 501(c) or C3 or whichever combination.
Oh dear, now you've done it completely. I'll never get it right.
I say it all kinds of different ways.
Excellent. I'm glad I'm not alone on that. All right. Thank you, everyone, for the time, the energy, and for joining this evening. And anything else before I close the call?
Yeah, I am going to add one thing. I am still tinkering with the code of conduct. I'm going to drop that in the Pathfinders here in a second so people can look at it and see if I'm on the right path here. I'm trying to keep it light but definitive at the same time. So any feedback on that will definitely help. But like I said, it's still a work in progress. If it looks a little rough, I apologize, but
no problem. Yeah, I'm sure I'll have some comments on that. That's close to my heart. I think it was a great suggestion, and it's absolutely relevant and topical. And I'm delighted that certainly in our own country, it's even in spite of our federal administration, there's a growing sensitivity to better conduct, and that's a good thing. So I like it.
And we have to hold each other accountable as well as support each other.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about. And it's not, and you'll see in there, it's about staff, it's about FPVFC staff, it's about our membership, and it's about our, potential partnerships. So, in my mind, I'm seeing we get a member, these are the documents that they're going to get either via email or in the mail or whatever. And these are the documents that they need to abide by. And that, it's going to be our bylaws. It's going to be our code of conduct. It's going to be, all that stuff so that our membership and even our partners need to be provided with this stuff so that they can act accordingly in a way that's conducive to doing business, with our organization. So,
yep. It can work. I've seen it done on a global basis. So I like it. All right. With that, any last call? Anything else? Okay. Thanks everyone for the time and the energy, and have a good evening.
Night,
Talk
guys.
to you all next week.
Yes.
Good night.
Night.
Thanks,
Good night.
everybody.